So welcome, Dharma friends. Faith, trust, and confidence in the practice. I'm going to touch on this morning, and also on how to practice with the discouragement and doubt that can come up for us in the practice. So faith, trust, and confidence. These are the typical translations for the Pali word saddha, S-A-D-D-H-A. And faith, trust, and confidence in the Dharmic sense is really fascinating because it's not a faith or a confidence in anything outside of what we would take to be ourselves. It's not faith in a set of beliefs outside ourselves. It's not faith in another being. It's faith in here and faith in the truth. It's confidence and faith in our capacity to walk a path that opens us more and more to seeing the truth of the way things are. So it's confidence in that path, the Noble Eightfold Path, mindfulness aligned with the other factors of the Noble Eightfold Path, and confidence in our capacity to awaken by following those practices. And so along this path, there are forces in the mind that oppose us from seeing the truth. And one of those forces is doubt, which is also really fascinating when we begin to explore it and unpack what's actually going on. And it's fascinating because it often shows up as the most mundane, familiar, and very convincing because so familiar thoughts in the mind. Just these really mundane thoughts like, I can't concentrate. I'm a bad meditator. I can't do it. Everybody else in this room or in this Zoom room can do it, but I can't. I should just give up. This is not for me. Sound familiar? And we can see that sometimes there's some tinge of self-judgment there. And these thoughts can arise even more when, things are really challenging and difficult, as they have been for the last year or more. So I want to share with you that one of the most powerful ways that I found to practice with these kinds of doubt thoughts, in addition to bringing loving kindness and self-compassion in consciously when they're there, is to really see them open to the idea that, in fact, when those thoughts are there, they may be indicating the exact opposite of what they're telling me. Because they're manifestations of a force in the mind that's actually trying to stop us from seeing more. So there is oftentimes a subtle or even a strong fear underneath the doubt thoughts. Fear of really seeing the truth of our experience of human beings, of its insubstantial, impermanent nature, that things are truly slipping away, and that there's nothing, we don't control what's arising in our experience. And also, there's nothing there that we can really pin down as a solid sense of self when we really continue to practice and see the true nature of our experience more and more. So what I've noticed is sometimes these doubt thoughts are arising right when I'm actually on one side of fear. And if I move through that and just notice those doubt thoughts, not buy into them, not personalize them, even though they're trying so hard to convince me of this truth that I can't do it, or this isn't the practice for me, is to actually just open to the fact that I may be about to see something more in the practice that will bring me just a little step closer to that awakening that I know from my previous experience is more and more possible through this practice. So in the suttas, sometimes when practitioners are experiencing doubt or fear, they stop and say, I see you, Mara. And this Mara is in the suttas a manifestation of those opposing forces in the mind, trying to keep us from seeing the truth. So this is an invitation in those times of discouragement or doubt to rest as much as possible in reflection on the promise of the practice and your own capacity, and really the possibility that doubt is a sign, doubt and some fear is a sign of actual progress in the practice, a sign of perhaps being on the cusp of some more insight or shedding of some of the limiting habits that we have in our minds. Okay, so let's meditate together. Let's practice. And so I'm just inviting you to go ahead and close your eyes if that's comfortable. And one of the ways we can boost our faith is to call to mind our intention. Call to mind the goodness of our intention in practicing. And to remember a time in practice when we have experienced a transformation. Those kinds of experiences are the ones that give rise to a verified faith. That is a faith that's grown out of our own experience with the practice and the promises that it brings to us. So I just invite you to begin by touching into your intention to practice, why you are practicing, and remembering, recollecting one or more moments in time in the practice that gives you a sense of confidence. And then just resting into our mindfulness practice, feeling into somewhat strong or predominant sensations in the body. Perhaps feelings of pressure or warmth or coolness. And inviting you to rest into noticing an anchor that you might have for your mindfulness practice. Could be the breath, body sensations. And allowing the mindfulness to just rest Rest in the body, rest in the breath in the beginning of the meditation. Knowing that it takes no effort to be aware, that awareness is just there without effort. This can bring a sense of confidence. This capacity to be aware is not owned by any particular human being or any sentient being for that matter. Just knowing what's happening right here and right now without pushing away or trying to grasp or cling. This is the core, the simplicity of the simplicity of the instructions, and that too can bring a sense of confidence in the practice, remembering the simplicity. If ever confusion or frustration arises about how to practice, we can remind ourselves and simply ask the question, what's happening right now in the body or the mind? Doesn't matter which. What's happening right now without pushing it away or trying to cling. And then if that confusion or doubt settles down, then you can begin to, notice the anchor, if that's your aim. Or engage in, a slight investigation into experience. What does that feel like in the body or the mind? We can remind ourselves of the simplicity of the instructions as a way to boost our confidence, our faith, when we're in the midst of the practice and some confusion or doubt arises. And if, as we're practicing, the mind wanders, we lose mindfulness for some time. And then it comes back into our experience. You can notice the unbiddenness of that. That mindfulness arising again came about because of causes and conditions set into place that we don't control in this moment. We didn't control when that mindfulness arose again. So any judgment we may have about not having been mindful for some period of time, any doubt thoughts that might have arisen in the mind because of that, little hiatus we took from mindfulness, we can start to simply notice those also as thoughts that are arising because of causes and conditions outside of our control. Bring care and loving kindness for ourselves in if there's any harsh self-judgment that's come up. And if there are any of those seductively convincing thoughts, I can't do this, I'm a bad meditator, I can't concentrate, can we simply notice those as doubt thoughts? As a habit that's arising because of causes and conditions, and as a force in the mind that's opposing our aim of really seeing things, seeing the truth of the way things are more and more through practice. Can we bring in trust? Can we bring in confidence instead of personalizing those thoughts or believing in them? And just allowing the mind to rest in mindfulness for the last few moments. And as we come to the end of our meditation, pausing for a moment to reflect again on the goodness of our intention, to cultivate greater wisdom and compassion, to walk this path with integrity, and to have the perseverance to relate to our experience in a different way, to reject the forces of the mind that tell us we don't have the capacity to move forward towards awakening. To open to our potentials, regardless of what messages we've received in our lives from society, rejecting any notion that there's an inherent incapacity in us, which is so wrong and so untrue. And if we let that go, we simply move forward towards greater and greater freedom through seeing the truth. And that freedom allows us to impact the world around us in ways that are beneficial, in ways that increase the compassion and the goodness in the world that we all need so, so much. Thank you for joining me for Daily Dharma with IMS. And I hope that you will join us for the rest of the week. And have a wonderful week of practice.